Hello and welcome to Game Day from the UK. Another edition today, previewing tonight's game against the Toronto Raptors. I have, I think, my three guys with me, although Sam is having a little bit of trouble connecting, but I've got Danny and John with me definitely. Danny, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. How are you?
Good. Yes, I'm not too bad. Not too bad, thank you. Oh, hang on, we've got two Sams now. Let's try and move. Let's remove that one. John, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, thanks.
Good stuff. And we've got Sam. Sam, how you doing, mate? Eventually, we got you. Can you hear us? Can you see us?
He's froze.
We've not got Sam. All right, we'll
Yeah.
we'll leave him there for a minute, and we'll see if he comes back. Guys, we've got a lot to get through tonight. Quite a lot's happened. We're back home at last. We've concluded our West Coast trip, a successful West Coast trip as well. I think a 4-3. That was okay. We predicted that sort of thing. We'll get into that a little bit. Pros and cons of that. I want to discuss, obviously, tonight's game against the Raptors. That should be a really good game. Looking forward to that. And we've just had the schedule. Second half of the schedule has just been released. So we'll briefly touch on that. And also, I want to get your thoughts on the fact that there will be no Miami Heat All-Stars this season. So I want to get your thoughts on that. So let's start off with the conclusion of the West Coast trip. My thoughts were before... we went out there. I remember saying to you and Darren, Sam, on Heating Up the UK that 4-3 is very achievable. We should do that. I actually said I wouldn't grumble at 3-4. Really, the only bad game we had here, Sam, was the Utah game. We should have done. We could have got 6-1 through this trip, which seems incredible because we threw 2 games away. Overall, overriding thoughts on the West Coast trip.
Yeah, it started bad. We had a few upsetting losses. The Utah one, like you said, was just a total write-off from start to finish. The Warriors one, I had a bit of confidence in it, but fourth quarter, third quarter, just lost it. And yeah, we ended strong. So it ended good. Happy with 4-3. Like you said, could have easily been 6-1. But yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, definitely. Sam, what do you think? Does it make it even more infuriating that the fact that we took those last 2 games, which we all said we would split, we would be happy with a split. We took the Lakers game, which, by the way, whilst we're talking about the Lakers game, how about my score prediction? 96, 95. That was a point out. Wow.
Yeah.
So a really good win there. We ground that one out, which was fantastic. And then I didn't see the game against Oklahoma last time out. I understand it wasn't particularly pretty, but it was a win nevertheless. So does it make it even more infuriating that we dropped those 2 games? Because that could have been one hell of a road trip.
I mean, every game we drop is infuriating. It's just considering the sort of patch we just come off before we entered into this road trip. We needed wins, so losing those 2 games were like a big hit. But yeah, every single game we lose is a hit.
Yeah, that's it. And Danny, on the flip side of that, just briefly asked you before we come on. Obviously, you watched the game. You said, any win shouldn't be grumbled upon at the moment, which again was what we said last time out. So, any positives out of the OKC game?
I
mean, a win's a win, right?
Yeah, it's difficult to really recall much from the game. It was. It wasn't a special game by any means, but it was good to get a win, and like you said, we could have done a lot better. But it's when you look back retrospectively on our losses, when we lost to the Warriors and the Clippers, these were games that we should have won and we could have won. So when you look back, we're trending in the right direction. We ended strong. We've got, a couple of games that are going to test us, but we ended strong, and that's the most important thing. We're trending the right way.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I'm sure you would echo that. That's the most pleasing thing now is that it's wins, it's back-to-back wins again. We're on a 3-win streak now, and we're back home. If we did go on to win this, go out on this West Coast trip and ended this on a 6-1 run, would there be a consensus that perhaps trades aren't necessary, or is that just people getting carried away?
No, trays are still need to be moved because we didn't win most of the games convincingly. We still, like the Lakers, we almost blew the Lakers game. The only game we actually were winning was the Kings one. We blew the 2 easy wins, which would have put us in the playoffs, but that's still no. We still need to make moves to actually be better. We shouldn't be in that position to win those games just to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm glad you're on board with that. Let's just conclude with the West Coast trip about sort of the. I was going to say who you think has been Miami's best player throughout the series, but I think we're probably all going to agree with the same one. But let's change it up a little bit. John, I'll start with you. Miami's best 2 players through this 7-game road trip.
I have to go with Jimmy and Bam. I wanted to pick Kendrick because he exceeded expectations and he just played much better than he usually did. But I don't think he played on the level of Bam or Jimmy. Jimmy was 4 triple doubles.
Yeah, incredible.
Bam's defense on Bron, but then Nunn was just really great as well defensively. Provided offense, but I have to go with Butler and Bam.
Okay, John. Sam. Anything different to that?
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go with Nunn to start with because I'd start with Nunn. I felt like he was fairly consistent all through the 7 games. At a point in the road stretch, it felt like he was the only person who was bringing something to the table. But at the end of the 7 games, we had Jimmy averaging nearly a triple double. Same with Bam.
Yeah.
But to me, Duncan Robinson's a standing factor out of this road trip. I think he led the team almost in scoring, just slightly off Jimmy. He led in 3-point percentage, and like I said, he was just consistent. Bam as well was a huge contributor. And prior to just coming on the board, I looked up the stats, and surprisingly, in terms of plus minus, you wouldn't guess who had the highest net positive in the last 7 games. Anyone want to guess?
I got it right here as well.
I was going to actually say Kelly Olynyk.
It's Kelly Olynyk, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's incredible. Danny, any thoughts on your 2 best players? Again, so we've got Jimmy twice, we've got a Nunn, and we've got a Bam Adebayo. Any different?
Yeah, I would say yes. Peter, it will be a full house. I would say Jimmy and Kendrick. We don't win some of these games without Kendrick Nunn. If we had old Kendrick Nunn, we aren't winning half of the games that we won on this road trip. So big props to Kendrick Nunn. I've slated him constantly this season, to my friends, and he's really stepped up. So props to Kendrick. I'm glad to have him back because he's a massive factor. And it's a point now where you say, is he an asset to us rather than someone else? So
yeah, that's a solid argument and very much backed up by the points, by the stats. So on this 7-game road trip, this is Kendrick Nunn's stats: 18.1 points per game, 3.4 rebounds, 2.9 assists, almost 2 steals a game. It's incredible. 47.5 field goal percentage, 41.8% 3-point percentage. So and 100% free throw percentage as well.
I was just about to point that
crazy.
out. He didn't miss a free throw.
Yeah,
just about to point that out. So he's edging on that 90, 50, 40 club in that.
How many did he take
in 7 games? That's a good question.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Kendrick. I think that it's been essential that he's come back and become the player that he was that when he burst onto the scene, because with all the injuries, Goran Dragic, with obviously his facilitating and his point scoring has been really tough. So we've needed Kendrick. We don't win this game. We don't come away with a winning record if Kendrick Nunn is not part of the rotation and playing well. So the fact that he's come back and done really well is great. Let's just quickly go around then, because Danny, you made a good point. John, what do we do now with Kendrick then? Because he's back. Does that mean we sell high? Because he was a trade piece anyway, apparently. He was never going to be part of this rotation. Now suddenly he is again. Now he's a starter again. So what do we do? Do we start? When Goran comes back, is he back on the bench? Or do we sell high?
If we don't trade him, I say we keep him as a starter, but I would rather still trade him. He's a restricted free agent, and I don't think his value would be that high that we wouldn't pay him. So But I'm still leaning towards trading him if we can get another good piece. If it's just a J type player, I don't think we put him on there. Maybe because he's been so good, but I don't think we can rely on him being this consistent for the whole year again, or in the playoffs.
We need to. If we trade him, we're going to need to land someone like Alonso or something, because you can't put Goran back in the starting lineup and have Tyler coming off with this point guard experiment, because it just doesn't work. So unless you know that you're going to get a solid point guard, I don't see them trading Kendrick Nunn right now.
Yeah, it's become, as I said, there's a lot of value there now, and a lot of people that we might be interested in going for. You've got to ask, are they going to bring back the sort of production that he's given us again now? So I don't know. I think it's a tricky one. I think I would rather keep him. One rumour since we last spoke, again, as we say, there's never a day that goes by without a new name with Miami. But since we last spoke, the latest name was Boogie Cousins. Now, at the beginning of the season, we was linked with him, and I said, no, this isn't the way forward, and he's just glass now, and we can't be. This isn't something we should pursue. At Houston, he's showed that he can still be productive to some sense. He can give you some solid minutes. So I think that this is something that I think it's the ultimate sort of the lowest risk. With, I wouldn't say high reward, because I don't think it is high reward, but I think it's about as low risk as it gets. Sam, would you take a flyer on Boogie, or just no point pursuing this one?
It depends in what capacities, because even recently we've had talks of how he was unsatisfied in his role coming off the bench in Houston. So it depends on what capacity you want to bring him in. Like, if we're to bring him in to start alongside Bam, then absolutely no, because he's pretty much immobile on defense, so he won't be able to switch and all that. And on offense, he hasn't really been shooting fantastically from free this year. If he was, then it'll be good to stretch the court when Bam and Jimmy is on. And imagining the dribble handoff with him setting the screen, I mean, he could probably create some separation for Duncan as well, and him bringing up the ball to the court might work. But I don't like the idea of him starting. If we were to get him in a buyout, I'd like it in a very limited role, just someone who you can plug in when things are going absolutely wrong. But
no, I agree. I don't think it'll work with Bam at all. I think it's just maybe if he can give you up to 10 minutes a night while Bam is resting. I think that it would be worth pursuing if it's something on a minimal sense. So, okay, right, let's move on to tonight's game. So against the Toronto Raptors, who again, this should be another really good game. Raptors started like the Heat awfully, have got better since. They currently sit 5th in the East on a .500 record, 16-16. The Heat are now 14-17 after some recent success, but still sit in 10th place. 9-9, the Raptors are away, although you could argue that every game is away for them at the moment. Miami Heat are 7-7 at home. The last 10, both winning records at the moment in the last 10. Raptors are 6-4, Heat are 7-3. And again, the bookies have this as a close one, with Heats just shading it on a -2.5 spread. I think mainly due to the fact that the Raptors played last night. So they're on a second night of a back-to-back, which should help us. Danny, expecting a close one here. Last time we played them, it wasn't a close one. They blew us out by 20 points, I believe, end of January. Should be a bit closer this time, right?
Yeah, I think so. And again, coming off, that successful road trip, I think sort of sparked something for them. I like playing the Raptors. I think it'll be a close game. Yep.
Yeah, it should be. Danny, John, this is quite a stunning sort of fact that I heard earlier. The Raptors are 16-0 when Kyle Lowry does not play. However, tonight he is probable. So is that a good thing or a bad thing for Miami tonight?
Not a good thing. I don't really care what the stats say. He's still a good player, so he makes them better. And I think this will be a must win for the Heat, because of how close the standings are.
Yeah.
Wouldn't a winner now, like a tiebreaker as well, if we ever to be tied in the standings. So I think it has to be a win tonight.
Yeah, the East is just ridiculous at the moment. I mean, we are, I think, half a game back, I think, from 8th, 1.5 game back from Boston in 5th, I believe. Could be 2 games away from the Raptors, I think, who are in 4th. So, yeah, it's crazy at the moment, which does mean that this is an important game. It is quite a big game, one of the biggest games you'd expect maybe from a February game. Sam, both teams are pretty bad rebounding teams. Raptors are 30th, so they're bottom. Heat are only slightly better at 28th. Could be a good game maybe for Bam.
Yes, I don't see why. Why not, rather? I just feel like coming out of this road trip, the Heat started to get into a rhythm in terms of defense and doing the right things. And just seeing the report that Goran Dragic is probable, well, he's questionable. Same with Tyler Hero and Chris Silver, for whoever is interested. But yeah, it could be a good game. So yeah, I'm looking to see an extension of the sort of good defense we saw in the away streak. Yeah,
definitely. Danny, when the Heat put out their reports and players are listed as questionable, that usually points towards the fact that they're going to play. I expect Hero to play. I expect both to be active tonight. I think Hero will play. I think that maybe Dragic will be a little more limited. I think he's just said in the media as well that he's still got a lot of work to do. So I think we may see some some activity from Goran. But the fact that Tyler Hero will be back, this is going to be nothing but help for the Heat.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree that if Goran's playing tonight, it will probably be limited minutes. But it'll be nice just to have Hero back out there. You know, he's that sort of scoring presence we need in that bench unit. So it's great. And you know, the just piggybacking off what Sam said about our defense. You know, the eye test doesn't really look like we're playing that good, like when you watch the games. But you know, analytically, apparently we are. So you know, we got to keep that up. You know, because this is a good Raptors team. And you know, if Kyle Lowry's playing, regardless of this 16-0 when he's not there, you know, he's a sharpshooter. So we got to keep it up.
Yeah, I agree. Stats like that are always quite surprising, and sometimes the stats do lie, because any time that Kyle Lowry is fit and playing against you, that's never a really good thing. It looks like he's going to be playing, so it'll be a good game. I think that what doesn't bode well again for Miami is the fact that they're a good 3-point shooting team. Their 3-point percentage is good. We've mentioned this many times that we don't tend to do that well against good 3-point shooters, but I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a fun game. Let's go around the table and get some predictions. In fact, do what I did last time, not only give a win or loss, give your score prediction, and we're going to keep a little running league table of this, so we'll see how we get on in the league and see how wildly out we are. Because I've set the bar here. I don't expect me to get as close as that ever again. So let's see how you do. Let's start with you, John. A Miami win or loss, and what's the score?
Heat win, of course. 110, 102.
Okay, so an 8-point win. I like it. Yes, Sam?
I'm going to go wider than that. Just piggybacking off what you said coming off the last segment, you mentioned that we don't do so well off 3-point teams. But in the last 7 games, I think we held teams about 31%.
Yeah,
so
very true.
If we can keep that going, and obviously Jimmy and Bam are coming off rejections off the All-Star, so we could probably come with a vengeance tonight. So I'm guessing something along the lines of a Heat win, 105-94, about 10-point win, 11-point win.
Okay, like it. Yeah, good maths in the end. Danny?
I'm going to go for a win, guys. My first one. Yeah, I think we'll win tonight. I don't know. I'm no good at predicting scores. I'll just say 102-98. Sure.
Okay, so again, a slim win. So we relatively tight here, but we are going full house, and I'm going to join you guys. The first time ever we have done 4, all of us going for the Heat. I think we're going to ride this wave back home. You make a really good point, Sam, about there's 2 All-Stars there that might be a little bit disgruntled. We're going to come on to that right away in a minute as well. But I'm going to go for another Heat win. Again, I think it's going to be relatively low scoring. I'm going to say 101-97 for the Heat. So quite a close game again. Okay, 4-0. Let's see if we're all right. That'd be great. And good to be back at the AAA. Right, we just quickly mentioned it there. We have 2 All-Star snubs, maybe. The thing with a snub, is if you're going to say your player has been snubbed, you need to tell us which player didn't deserve it, and that's where it gets a little bit more difficult. I put a poll out an hour or two ago to say should there have been all-stars. It was all quite close, I think, considering the main majority of my followers are obviously Miami Heat fans. You normally expect there's to be some bias here, and I think even though I think the poll did end in people majority saying that it should be both. It was actually quite tight. The next best was that neither should have been. Let's go around again. Let's see what you think. I'll have my summary as well. Danny, start with you. Should both, one or the other, or neither, have been all-stars this year?
I think Jimmy deserved it. I don't think that it's difficult because he's missed so much, but I feel like, it's because of protocol and things like that, and I don't think that should be held against him. He did have that sort of little ankle thing at the beginning of the season too, which sort of slowed him down at the beginning. But I really think Jimmy Butler, with his his 4 triple doubles, nearly averaging a triple double, he's just put on a massive show, and obviously it's difficult to say who should and shouldn't be in it. Personally, I think he should replace Ben Simmons. I don't think that, although they have a great record, I just don't think that I'm just not high on Ben Simmons at all. I never have been. Maybe I'm just a hater, I don't know, but it was, you want to put both in because again, Bam's taken a massive leap again. He was an all-star last year and he's even better this year. But if you're going to talk about snubs, I think Domantas Sabonis is the biggest snub of everyone. So even if Bam could get in there, I think Sabonis would be before Bam. So but yeah, my biggest takeaway is that I think Jimmy was the snub.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. And that's a good point about Sabonis. I think that a lot of people have been agreeing with you with that same take, that's maybe the biggest snub here. They're the only team, they're a team with a winning record, or might be, I think they're one game above 0.500 at the moment, but that's how tight the East is at the moment. But they're overperforming, perhaps, at the moment, Pacers. Sabonis has been excellent. So I think that is, that I would tend to agree with that. John, same question to you. Is there a snub here or not?
I'm going a different way. I thought Jimmy he shouldn't be an all-star because of the games missed.
Yeah.
He would be ahead of most players if he actually played enough games, but because of the all-star is just to reward players, then the players that played more games should be able to get into the all-star. But for Bam, I think he should have made it over Vucevic.
Okay. Yep. I was just arguing with, well, not arguing, but just debating with UK Magic about this as well. He was piping up in my mentions about the fact that I put that poll out and they sort of put their gif of Vucevic in. Look, Vuce, I think, has. They've had a tough time of it. Magic, they by far have the worst injuries. Vucevic has sort of carried them to where they are at the moment, which isn't anywhere special. They're outside the playoffs, they're struggling, but you'd expect them to be with that roster that they've had, that depleted roster. So the stats don't really lie with Vooch. I think he's always been a good numbers guy. I think that's one of the main arguments, perhaps with Bam, is that his stats have never really jumped off the page. That's not really his game, and how many people actually base it on that? Do they just look at the stat board and look at Bam and dismiss? Sam, what are your thoughts? Is there any snubs here, or are you okay with this?
I'm actually okay with it. I voted neither on your poll. Yeah. And for me, the thing is, with Jimmy and Bam, it's never really about their overall stats. It's always about how much they contribute to the team and how they help the team to win. So you always hear talks of, Jimmy's game doesn't show on the stat board. Well, he gets the team to winning. He gets the team to the finals and all that. And we just haven't won this year. We've got a losing record at the moment, so it's hard to justify.
I would just counteract that and say that Jimmy's presence after the protocol has made this team, that he was the catalyst for this winning streak on the so that's kind of like what I'm basing my assumption on, because you're right that they're not the high volume scorer guys that everyone loves. They're players who contribute to winning, and obviously we haven't won that much, but that's the reason why Jimmy is snubbed is because he was out due to protocol. Absolutely. It's not because he's not a great basketball player, and I don't think in a COVID year that should be held against him personally, but that's my opinion. So Sorry, I
That's a
didn't mean
fair
to butt in
argument.
there, dude. I just,
No. You've made a fair point, but I just feel like people won't see it that way. It's always
for sure.
the Heat fans complaining about, we could have, if we just pulled one player off on a COVID protocol, we wouldn't have missed so many games and this and that. But it's happened. We just haven't won those games. So
yeah,
and I just want to say just one more thing. Although I think that Jimmy was snubbed, I am happy that no one's going.
That's very true. Grant, who messaged a minute ago, that's a point I was going to make. Look, the best thing about this is the fact that they're not going to be training, working out, playing and travelling with lots of other players in a COVID year. So I don't think you'll find any Heat fans that are going to really, really grumble about this. In terms of the result, I don't have any problem with this. I put the poll up. I couldn't vote on it, but my vote would have been neither either. I don't think there's a snub here at all. I think that they both got cases, as you would expect, with two players of that caliber. Jimmy Butler is a better Miami Heat, are a better team when Jimmy Butler is playing. His metrics show that. His recent form shows that. So there is a case, as Danny has put up there, to say that just because he's been out due to protocol, should he be penalised? But on the flip side, they're games that he's missed, and there are others like Julius Randle who have put up insane numbers, etc., that haven't missed games. Would they be feeling more snubbed if Jimmy Butler was in before him due to the amount of games he has missed? I think Bam can maybe count himself a bit unlucky. I think that his game has improved. We've seen it improve. I just think that maybe some of this is based on perhaps people do look at too much at the stat board, and Bam isn't really a stat player.
Sorry, but I was looking at the stats for like the per possession, and his stats is basically the same as Randall's and bonuses, except he's more efficient with better defense.
Right. Okay, well then, that's fair enough. I think that, it's always going to be a bit tough with Bam. They might look at it as though, well, you was fit, you have been healthy, you haven't missed any games, and the Heat are still a losing team. I know there's arguments to say that about some of the other players that have been, but for me, of course, you would have liked to have seen them. I don't have any problem with this. I think that it can't be classed as an outrage that these two players aren't in. The Miami Heat are not good this year. We're getting better. I'm sure we'll be fine. I'm sure we'll continue to get better, but I don't see this as an outcry that this is a snub. So
those bottom two sort of picks at the end could have been anyone. You could pick through so many people. So it is what it is. It's so close.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll just take blessings of the fact that they're now going to be with the Heat and they'll be resting up, which is a good thing. So, okay, right. Before I let you go, guys, one thing that happened just before we came live was the second half of the schedule was released. Upon instant, I haven't gone through it much, but just on instant reflection, the first start after All-Star break looks very winnable. Through March, all of March looks pretty winnable. The second takeaway from this is that the end of the season looks a bit tougher. A tough run in. 4 of our last 5 games are on the road against, from memory, Boston. Then I think we've got Philly at home, then Milwaukee away, and I forget who we end the season to. But
Detroit.
Okay, right. Danny, when I mentioned this to you very quickly before we came on live, you said a very good point, which was.
What? That it's winnable, or the earned jerseys?
The end of season. We're coming to earned jerseys. The fact that it will get us very playoff ready.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
No, it's been 20 minutes. So no. Yeah, it's going to be a testing end to the season. But it's that ramp up that you want before the end of the season. Get in playoff basketball mode and try and get a couple of difficult wins before the playoffs start. And I think especially after the break, I think we're going to be talking a lot about how well the Miami Heat are doing. I think this March schedule is looking really good for us.
Yeah, have you got the schedule in front of you?
I do, yeah.
What's the first sort of half dozen games?
So it's Orlando at home, Chicago away, Orlando away, Cleveland home, Memphis, Indiana, Phoenix, Portland, Charlotte, New York, Indiana.
Wow. So. We got to sweep them up, haven't we, John?
And because that will be like after we rested. Bradley will probably maybe be back. Dragic will be at their health, so they all should be a winnable games then.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Sam, same thing to you. That comeback month is looking quite good. Should help build a bit of momentum.
Yeah, it just gives us a bit of time to just like tweak the things that need tweaking and just get into a full stride for the rest of the season. And just going back to what you said with regards to the end of the season, we also need to consider teams resting players just before the playoff starts. So depending on how tight the East is, we might be facing a Sixers team without Joel and maybe Embiid or a Boston team with rested players. So yeah, you just never really know until we get in front of those games.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't know. I mean, to be honest, who knows? Miami Heat could very well be in contention for home court seedings, titles. Coming out the East. There is so much to play for. It is so crammed. It is such a bizarre season that when you get to that end of it and you don't know who's going to be resting, who's going to be going for for that extra game where they need to overtake or take a tie-breaking series. Who knows? So lots and lots of basketball still to play before then. But let's hope we're back home now after a successful road trip. Let's hope that we start tonight with a win. Thanks very much for joining me again, guys. Everybody can see where your ats are now, which is fantastic. So go and follow all of these guys here. I'll be back tonight on the live feeds again. Thanks for bearing with me over the last game. So follow us at Miami Heat UK, at the Miami Heat UK. Sorry, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time out, which I think is Friday against the Hawks.
Yes.
I'll go with that. Yeah, I'm always one game at a time.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Thanks for joining me again, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody, and enjoy the game. We'll see you soon.